Climbing in, you can see 510, you gotta kind of dip down underneath. It is still a car. It's one of the reasons why cars are going away. You just kind of have to work your way in. Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey, and this is a 2024 Prius Prime, soon to be just called the Prius plug-in hybrid. This is the top XSE premium trim. It is only front wheel drive, but this fuel sipper has been mine to live with for a full week over Thanksgiving holiday. And in this video, I am finally going to get to tell you what it's been like to live with for our family of 3 here in East Texas. Stay tuned. First off, gearheads, I want to say a huge thank you to Toyota for bringing me their most efficient Prius hybrid. This is the Prime, the plug-in hybrid that does have an estimated right at 40 miles of all-electric range. This XSE Premium sacrifices a little bit of that for these 19-inch sporty wheels. We'll get into all of that. But yes, huge thanks to Toyota for finally letting me live with one for a week to get to do stuff like 0 to 60 test it, which I'll be doing shortly. But since we're at the front of the vehicle, let's go ahead and talk about what powers this. It is essentially the same as what you get on the non-plug-in hybrid, but still we get a 2-liter hybrid 4-cylinder powertrain powering the front wheels only on this. This gets a larger hybrid battery so that you can plug it in and drive on all electric range. But yes, 2-liter 4-cylinder, that makes decent amount of power, but not the most that you would see in a sporty looking vehicle much like this one. The engine alone makes 150 horsepower, 139 pound-feet of torque, but Toyota really likes to advertise the 220 total system horsepower in this with that electric motor added into the mix. They don't say the electric torque or total torque with that electric motor, but let's just suffice it to say it's fun to drive. I'll go into more detail in just a moment. Otherwise, yes, we get a prop rod holding the hood up, which really does save weight. Closing the hood, however, I can say this has got to be like the lightest hood I have ever lifted. There is no weight to this. Weight savings was a big initiative of this vehicle, and that is an extremely light hood. When you do close it though, we get that new sexy Prius style that we first saw debuted, I do believe 2 years ago at the LA Auto Show, that has now transcended to some of their other models. The Toyota Camry got this Prius-esque style update last year with a new headlight treatment, new grille design, and I really like this Prius. This is the best the Prius has ever looked, replacing perhaps one of the ugliest models of the Prius lineup generation to date. I would say this absolutely is a looker, and it absolutely cuts through the air. It is very windswept in its approach, and I won't go into too much detail because I have other Prius videos here on the channel. This one really will be what has it been like living with it for a week, but those LED headlights definitely set this thing off. And I do want to call out, it's a very interesting look from this angle. If I showed you this, would you be able to tell what vehicle I'm reviewing? Probably not. I mentioned it earlier, but the XSE Premium, that's harder to say than I thought, gets these up-level 19-inch wheels that do sacrifice some of the all-electric range on it, but they do give it just a bit more style. So I'm willing to sacrifice a couple miles of EV range for these tires. Fuel-efficient tires, again, just to help with the range, but you can see just how narrow they are. These are 195 width tires, and it's not very often we see 195 width tires, but it's very obvious. They're slender tires for fuel efficiency's sake and aerodynamics sake as well. less rolling resistance in contact with the road. As we come around to the side, very windswept profile on this. That windshield is absolutely massive. And then you can see the top of the roof is actually a little bit further back than I thought it would be. It's way back here behind the front windows. But while we're talking about the roof, no sunroof in this one because we have the optional $610 solar roof. We can talk about that when we're driving, but in our experience, it has not really added a bunch of range back. It is slow to add energy back. You have to park it in a lot of sun, and well, recouping that $610 may take you longer than anticipated with that solar roof. Otherwise, the profile of this is an absolute win in my book. You can see we have kept the aerodynamic profile intact by hiding the rear door handles right up there. Fuel door right here, it is locked. I had to get it from the inside. But as we pan around here to this side, this is the charge port door. You can see a J1772 plug, and this is how you charge it up to get all those electric only miles from the battery there. But my goodness, I really do like the profile of this. Looks very futuristic. I think this is what they wanted the Prius to look like all along, but that last generation just did not do it for me, and perhaps a lot of other buyers. You can see moving back here to the back, we get a nice clean look. Just helps with the aerodynamic portions of this. It's just a really cleaned up, sporty appearance. You get that full width LED light bar, all LED lights all the way around. Very clean look. We get that Beyond Zero badge right here with the Prime script. Again, this is going away next year. It's just going to be the Prius plug-in hybrid. You can see we get XSE here. We get a flat Toyota badge in the back. Interesting that they didn't put a 3D one back here. It's not like it's creating any extra drag. And then in here, we've got the door handle. And it tells you door handle. We also have cameras. We've got a camera for our 360 camera and our rear view camera mirror. As we open up the rear hatch, you can see hybrid reborn. There's a lot of stuff all the way throughout this, and a decent size hatchback, though that pretty aggressive slope does cut into the rear cargo area. I will say, this being the Prius Prime, we had to add a larger battery for the all-electric driving of this one, so we do sacrifice just over 7 cubic feet of cargo space. Toyota claims 20.3 cubic feet of space with the seats up. They do not give a seats down number on the Prime, though the seats down number on the non-Prime is 50.4. If you calculate and subtract out for the extra battery size from the behind the seats number, I'm estimating somewhere around 40.3 cubic feet of space in the Prime with the 60-40 split seats down. I do like how we get this butterfly flexible cargo cover here in the back, so you can fold it up, put it out of the way if you need to, which I did need to while we had this. I took some big boxes off garage sailing, but I was surprised, just again, because of the shape, the slope of the roofline back here, just how little I was actually able to get back here in the 20.3 cubic feet of space. The usability of those cubic feet, not great, not great. And that is due to the slope of the roof. But there are some little areas like right here we can store some stuff. We do get some power back here in a household style plug, which is really nice. And then underneath the floor, you can see that's where we get our charge cord and some styrofoam for sound deadening. And then over here, that is our actual car battery, not the hybrid battery, but the car battery for all the electronics and such. And yes, 60-40 split seat, but there are no remote latches to fold it down from back here. So you're either going to be reaching all the way up there to fold the seats down or doing that from the side of the vehicle. You may have seen this was a power hatch. It opens nicely, but also very easy to close. And before we go inside, I do want to show you one little tidbit that I saw while filming the intro. Again, hybrid reborn hidden right here on the cowl. There are a lot of little fun Easter eggs all the way throughout this. I'll point out some, but you leave some comments down in the comment section below of your favorite little Easter egg in the new hybrid Prius, the hybrid reborn. Before we get in and drive this one, I did want to show you the key. Typical Toyota key. You can see Prius Prime there on the back. We can deploy a physical key, but all your usual suspect of buttons on a Toyota key: lock, unlock, your hatch button and a panic button. This does have remote start, but you have to press the lock button 3 times, and on the 3rd time you have to hold it. And because this really prioritizes the electrical component of the hybrid, you don't really hear it start up, so not the best. I wish there were just a dedicated remote start button. It is a proximity key. You can just keep it in your pocket, your purse, wherever you keep your key. You can passively unlock it by grabbing the door handle. You can lock it by pressing right there. There we go. We unlock it and open it up. We get the nicest interior because, again, this is the XSE Premium. It is the top trim, and we'll go ahead and start here on the door panel. 2-person memory seat, all of our window controls and mirror controls here. A little bit of storage here, a little bit of storage in the door pull that is rather deep. Actually, right here, multi-way positional seats with 2-way lumbar. And these seats, they are SofTex trim, which is their synthetic leather, but we have 2 tones of red in here, red contrasting stitching. These are actually very comfortable. We've got a lot of nice bolstering on them. Been very pleasant for our Thanksgiving trips around town. I do want to go ahead and call out this section right here. We've got a lot of buttons that are separated by a lot of room. And these right here, if you turn off the vehicle at night and open the door, the overhead lighting does not illuminate these buttons well, and they are no longer backlit when the vehicle's turned off. So that is that rear power in the cargo area. That is your rear hatch, and that is how you open the fuel door. All of those are as good as makes no difference. Invisible at night when you turn the vehicle off and open the door because the overhead lighting just does not light it up. Automatic brights, heated wiper park, and heated steering wheel buttons right there. Odometer and trip stuff right there. Manual tilt telescoping steering wheel, which I really like. But climbing in, you can see 510, you gotta kind of dip down underneath. It is still a car. It's one of the reasons why cars are going away. You just kind of have to work your way in. But when you do get in, my goodness, that windshield goes on and on and on. I think this is perhaps a bigger windshield and bigger dash than what we saw in a 90s F-body Camaro Firebird. It is absolutely massive. And then you can see right here, we get the 7-inch screen from the BZ4X, though slightly reworked here. In this combination, you're actually supposed to look over the steering wheel at it, and it kind of serves as an in-between a full digital gauge cluster and a head-up display. You can see just how long the A-pillars are here. I get this big window right here. I will go ahead and say right now versus when I'm driving, because I will have to pay extra attention. This is your view when looking at perhaps an intersection. Lots of A-pillar in the view, perhaps too much A-pillar in the view, and it has reared its ugly head just a few times, completely blocking an intersection for me. It's an intersection that is an odd one in that it's not your typical spacing, but still, that is a lot of space to hide people or things, though this does have Toyota Safety Sense 3.0. You can see the cameras watching me here. So there are a lot of built-in eyeballs and safety goodies and doodads in here to help keep you from making a bad judgment or a ill-informed turning decision with that giant A-pillar right there. You can see now that we've turned it on, 12.3-inch wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and the infotainment system here. Really like that. Comes in handy really nicely. The Toyota system, when you go to it, there is not a dedicated home screen or anything like that. It's their typical infotainment system. And then you can see here, this is my eye line right now at the gauge cluster. Interestingly enough, this only tells you miles per kilowatt hour when you're in EV mode. When you turn on the engine, then it tells you miles per gallon, which is 99.9 the last time it actually switched over for me. So not very informative. I can actually slide that over and just make that my full screen. We get a lot of buttons on this very tiny steering wheel. It is leather wrapped or SofTex wrapped. I don't know, but it is very soft and very squishy. I like it, but it is a very small steering wheel, again, because I'm meant to look over the top of it. It's not my favorite, but it works. it does the job. All right, I talked about all the buttons over here, but you can see we get this red plastic that looks very nice and racy, and it contrasts against the red lighting here, much like the reds here on the seat. A single zone climate control, but the cabin isn't overly massive, so it's not that big of an issue. And then again, the heated and ventilated seats really do help out with that. Moving down from here, we've got two USB-C ports, USB-C port to interface with the wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That's something even the new 2025 Camry doesn't have. And then we've got some storage here, but some hashtag hidden storage down here. And let's see, I'll go ahead and remove that. Somewhere in here, yeah, right there it says hashtag hidden storage. They like their hashtags in this. We'll see just a few more, but put that in place there. Couple of cup holders right here. Typical Prius gear selector right here. You go over and forward for reverse. That triggers your 360 cameras and the invisible vehicle feature, which I really like, especially like when driving around here in a parking lot. You can see exactly where you're placing the vehicle because you can see exactly what's underneath you because the cameras remember what they saw when you were in motion. But we'll go ahead and put it in park. We have multiple different drive modes here. You can see custom, sport, normal, and eco. We'll talk more about that when we're driving. You can actually change to hybrid electric vehicle mode or hybrid mode. From EV mode, you can recharge the battery. If you are getting somewhere where you know you want to just drive around electric mode, you can do that with this button right here. So now I'm in hybrid mode, and the engine kicked on, and now you can see 99.9 miles per gallon, but we'll switch to EV mode and we'll go ahead and put it in auto and they'll figure out exactly what we want to do. Electronic brake hold here, electronic parking brake, traction control, and then your Qi wireless charger, which I like the placement of, and you can see down in the bottom, hashtag wireless charger. It holds my iPhone 16 Pro Max just fine, but it does not charge it. So you will see here, yep, does not charge it. It does not charge my wife's 16 either. So I like the placement. I just keep it off. I do like that there's a power button. Get a little bit of storage here with two USB-C ports right there. And then in our glove box, fairly large glove box, it is damped, but not lined with felt. So there is a little bit more storage there. And we already talked about the storage in the doors. We do not have a sunroof, again, because of that solar roof, but my seat is all the way down and I'm sitting fairly fine right now. But again, my goodness, this windshield, it feels massive here in front of me. I want to make sure I am in park, that the doors are unlocked, because we are now going to pop out and see what it's like sitting behind myself at 5'10". Again, the door handles are hidden up here. And I will go ahead and note, typically you're able to just like push a door and it'll close. But there's quite a bit of resistance to these doors, and they don't quite do what you'd expect them to. You can see the rear doors don't open up the widest, but there is a large opening. So that works out very nice for me. Go in here, dip my head in, and yeah, we're in. But less headroom back here. At 5'10", I am touching the ceiling, and the seats don't recline. So I'm gonna have to like slouch, which I can't quite do behind myself at 5'10". So not the best rear seat accommodations. This would be better for shorter adults, children, teenagers, and the like. But we do get fold down armrest with two cup holders. That does ride kind of close to Tucker's child safety seat. We also get heated outboard seats here, two more USB-C ports down here, and a two-prong plug down here for additional power here in the back seat to power any devices you may bring with you. You can see we get a map pocket there, no map pocket here, a little bit of storage in the doors back here, including the covers for our child seats. So yes, if you want to see us install this child safety seat and see what Holly and Tucker think of riding in the Prius Prime, absolutely hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you're notified when that video drops. But let's see what this Prius Prime is like 0 to 60 and on some of my favorite driving roads here in East Texas. Before we set off in this one, I do want to say a big thank you to our 0 to 60 sponsor, Racebox, and their 0 to 60 timers, their GPS systems that do a lot more than just the 0 to 60 testing I'll be doing today in this Prius. They have lap timers and all kinds of GPS performance-based information built into this unit. If you want to get one for yourself and test out what your vehicle's made out of, save 15% on us thanks to our partnership with Racebox, and help us out in the process. All the details are listed down in the video description below. But as we set off in the Prius Prime XSE Premium, I think now would be a good time to remind you this is a plug-in hybrid that is prioritizing efficiency over pure sportiness. But all these red accents just say, okay, well, let's see what it can do when it comes to performance. So drive mode, I'm actually going to put it in sport drive mode, and I am going to be full on the brake, full on the accelerator, and go. Spinning those skinny front wheels, and we are setting off. And 6.7 seconds, 0 to 60. I'm actually kind of impressed. I was not expecting that. I kind of thought worse. That is right on par with the last Mazda 3 turbo that we had. That's actually pretty impressive. And that is on warm-ish tires on a cool fall evening here in East Texas. We're going to actually test that again a little bit later as we've driven this just a little bit. But there's a lot to talk about with this one. First, let's talk about the electric range. 30, 35, 40, thereabouts, a full electric range. And you could be saying, well, what good is 30 plus miles of electric range going to get me? I can't go anywhere on that. Well, you aren't supposed to go anywhere long on that, but well, I can say in our week's worth of testing, we have driven this 148.6 miles as I currently sit, and about 100 of those have been on all electric power alone. We've only used about 40 miles of gasoline in this, which again, a 2-liter 4-cylinder has sipped the gasoline in this. So this has been a great commuter around town, allowing us to do a lot of commuting on electricity, and electricity is far cheaper than gasoline to drive around on. So that has been a big cost savings here in this. You just plug it up every night and you're good to go. If you forget to plug it up, or if you want to take it on a longer trip, you have that gas engine to lean back on. And Toyota and the EPA both estimate over 500 miles of total range with a full charge, with a full tank of gas. So this thing really can and should go a long ways. And the solar roof notwithstanding, I mentioned it earlier, but I'm on the screen right now. Today alone, we have added 1 watt-hour of charging back to the vehicle. That ain't a lot. And this vehicle's 3,000 plus miles that it's lived, we've added 24 watt-hours back. I'm not going to do the math, but something tells me that $610 charge is not being offset by the solar power you're adding back to this. It's just something, another gimmick that you can tout. Yeah, we've got a solar roof, but it's really not doing a whole lot. And I really wonder maintenance, upkeep, and what would happen if hail hit that. So can't say I'd recommend the solar roof, but I can recommend the plug-in hybrid because, again, you can commute on all electric range and then road trip it and not have to worry about anything. So I like it. I like the Prime plug-in hybrid, whatever you want to refer to it as. It's rather nice. When it comes to actually driving, I'm in auto mode, and you may have noticed the gas engine did chime in for that 0 to 60 run, because that 220 horsepower, our combined total system horsepower, we need both the electric motor and the gas engine to give us that full 220 horses at any given time. Now, you don't have to worry about depleting your battery completely and it only relying on the engine for that power. There is always some electricity in reserve for passing maneuvers, etc. You don't have to worry about that. So that 6.7 seconds 0 to 60 should be anytime. that you need it. You just mash the accelerator and you go. I did mention those narrow tires and hearing a lot of wheel spin, trying to set off on that first time, which translates to how this thing is handling down these curvy roads with bumps, things like that. So far, so good. You do have limited contact patch, so I'm not going to be punishing these tires. In fact, there's a minivan that has pulled out in front of me right now, so perhaps when I swing around and do this path in reverse, I will have a little bit better clear path in front of me. But I can say for the most part, these wheels, these tires have held up very nicely. I'm on highly textured pavement right now. I'm not getting a lot of road noise. I am getting road noise, but I'm not getting a lot of it. Again, talking about how light that hood was, a lot of thought process has gone into keeping the weight low on this vehicle to help with that overall efficiency. And so not a lot of sound deadening has gone into the Prius Prime. So it's good, it's fine, it's not loud, but you won't mistake this for a Lexus product, that is for sure. Other things I do want to note about my time driving it, the steering is a little light, but sporty too. It's not like drive with your fingertips, so I like that a lot. The seats have been very comfortable, and they have enough bolstering that if I were carving these corners with my pizza cutter wheels, I would say that it's going to hold me in very nicely. They are ventilated, which I like. They are multi-way positional, which I like. 2-person memory, which I like. So a lot of comforts in here, as you would expect for over $40,000, as this one is spec'd. You're trading off a lot. Again, I'd save $600 and delete that solar roof option, but you all are also getting a lot of luxuries, all LED lighting, Toyota Safety Sense 3.0, heated and ventilated seats with memory, plenty of space in here, plenty of mileage. I like it a lot. It has worked out very nicely for me, so I have no complaints there. And then the ride. It's not a bad ride. It has been mostly compliant for us. The larger battery has made for a little bit of a heavier vehicle when it comes to just how it pilots around town. It doesn't feel heavy, but you can tell there's some extra weight to it. It doesn't feel super light either. The visibility, I already talked about the A-pillars in this. It is also coming in to the consideration when making these big sweeping left-hand turns, this A-pillar right here. But with the rear view camera back behind me, I can actually see out very nicely. Without it, it is a slightly compromised view out of that rear hatch. So they did prioritize style on this generation Prius just a little bit more over practicality, but my goodness, does this Prius look good compared to every Prius that has come before it. I also like how I do get gauges in front of me. Previous generations have all put everything off to the side. I didn't like that. Why do you have to be so goofy in a Prius? Why can't you be a little conventional? There's still a little goofiness baked into this, most with that screen right there, but for the most part it has become a little more mainstream and practical. Well, with every model in Toyota's lineup now having a hybrid option or variant, this really has lost its specialness, so style has to play a big factor in it, and then the fact that this is a hatchback also plays into the account just a little bit. But now we are at the end of my drive route. I'm going to come to a complete stop right here. We're going to do another 0 to 60. We're fairly straight in front of me, but going slightly uphill, so I'm expecting a little bit less than 6.7 on this. Full on the brake, full on the accelerator, and we will go. America!
Did you yell America when you hit the accelerator?
Nope, no.
Better 0 to 30, but 0 to 60, 6.75. So just slightly worse 0 to 60 time on that one. We're gonna stop, turn around, do that in reverse, and kind of average all those together. But 6.7, that's a decent return from a Prius when it comes to 0 to 60. All right, one last time here, this time going slightly downhill, so I am expecting a better time on this one. Full stop here, full on the brake, full on the accelerator, drop the brake, and
America! Ellen!
okay, 2.68. Where you going? We're going 6.37 going downhill. So 6.5 average between all of those. That is actually very impressive for a Prius. That's very impressive for a hybrid that isn't a performance hybrid. I'm quite impressed with those 0 to 60 numbers. And yeah, well done, Toyota, on that one. Now I have a clear road in front of me, but again, I am going to be a little cautious back here. I do have pizza cutter tires. I do have a dipping sun in the horizon, and I have already seen deer out on this road today, plus limited visibility. Not only do I have these giant A-pillars, but I have my cameras up, so I don't want to go super crazy, but I do want to see what this is like with that electronic CVT and front wheel drive. I can hear that being in auto mode, the engine is chiming in when I'm asking for a little bit more power, pressing the throttle on this. But for the most part, this is a pleasant driving experience. It is definitely more than I thought I would get out of something with a Prius fixed to it. So yes, this is a pleasing driving environment, though I will not say that it is scratching my performance driving itch, so to speak. It is fun, but not exhilarating. It'll get the job done if you want to have some fun, and I would definitely recommend the Prime XSE Premium as the most sporty driving of the bunch. In fact, the plug-in hybrids from Toyota prior to the Supra's arrival were some of the fastest Toyota products you could get before the introduction of the Supra, just because of how quick that electric motor and its instantaneous torque made these vehicles. So that does give this a spry, sporty characteristic, even if 220 horsepower isn't the biggest or best on the block. It is definitely making this a fun, though not exhilarating driving experience. But that is my time with this Prius Prime for a week. Huge thanks to Toyota for lending it to us. If you want to see more from us, more what we're testing, what we're driving, you can absolutely follow along with us by hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell on YouTube so that you're notified when future videos drop from us. You can find us on all social media channels: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, you name it. Everything is at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to gtgaragetalk.com, where you'll find links to everything, including our award-winning podcast. But as for me, carving up corners with my pizza cutter tires on back roads here in East Texas in the Prius Prime XSE Premium. Until next time, gearheads, bye.